Hi everybody, welcome to Sing It with Jane. Hi, my name is Jane and today we'll be singing a song called Set Fire to the Rain by Adele. Let's go! To make this process easier for you, you can now download a PDF with the singing guide of the song so you can see what specific details and techniques are coming up. So most of you guys, of course, know Adele from her loud voice and volume, right? So today I'm going to teach you a technical summary of what Adele is doing with her voice most of the time. So whether you're singing this song or a different song by Adele, you can always use this technical pathway you move through while you're singing Adele songs. It's really cool. I've analyzed this song and it's absolutely ridiculous actually what Adele does with her voice. I really love it. So let's dive into it. So let us listen to the first part of the song now.
I let it fall, my heart, and as it fell, you rose to claim it. It was dark, and I was over, until you kissed my lips, and you saved me.
So if you're familiar with the voice of Adele, you can already hear that her volume is not maximum, right, when she starts this song. This is obvious because she's at the beginning of the song, and as we go further into the song, you can up the volume for build-up in the song. So as an example for you, Adele's voice, what you just heard, is quite different from my speaking voice as you hear it right now. My accent lies quite in the back of the throat, like hey, like here. And Adele puts her accent right in the front of her mouth. So you try to do that. Try to make a really small setting in your mouth and try to get the sound to the front of your mouth. It's as if you can imagine like speaking through your nose or speaking right at the front of your mouth. Or you can even think of like pointing the sound in this direction, right? So not here in the back, but here in the front. You can try to do that. So when we try to do this, we actually make a smaller setting. You actually go more into the direction of a talkative tone, of a speaking voice, like speaking properly with a good pronunciation right in the front of the mouth, instead of lazy pronunciation in the back of the mouth. Here there's a lot of space in my throat at the back, but now I squeeze that, like my tongue goes up against my upper molars, and I try to keep it closed as I'm speaking or as I'm singing. Yeah, I set fire to the rain. You can now also hear a sound that is called twang. It's like a really piercing sound. It's a possible sound that can arise when you take a small speaking-like setting without a lot of space here in the back. Just really small, also here in the back, okay? Like as if you're trying to squish the note instead of giving it space. So what then happens? The larynx comes up. It helps to create a smaller setting. If you find it hard to find this setting, try thinking of a little girl with two ponytails that says la 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 la. It doesn't matter if that is in the head voice. When you amp up the volume, it gets into your chest voice. This is a technique that they call edge in complete vocal technique. That's the singing education I followed in Copenhagen. So now we have this really small setting with a lot of twang. You can hear it in the word twang. It's like really piercing, right? A really small setting, your tongue is against the upper molars, like do everything to keep the setting as small as possible instead of really open. You can compare this one to yawning, making a lot of space in the back of your mouth, raising your soft palates, things like that. But now we want to do the opposite and make it as closed up as possible. And you're speaking really at the front of your mouth, okay? So first we're going to speak out the words of the first verse, and after that we'll add the melody, okay? Let's go. So no melody yet, just speaking. All right. Hey, I let it fall, my heart in the front of the mouth, and as it fell, you rose to claim it. It was dark, and I was over, until you kissed my lips and you saved me. My hands, they're strong, but my knees were far too weak to stand in your arms without falling to your feet. So doing this in a very speaking-like manner, it helps to keep the closed setting you need to sing in edge. If I'm speaking in edge, it is a form of a chest voice, alright? It is loud, it has a piercing sound. And so what Adele tends to do in her technique, the pathway that she walks when she is singing, she either sings in the chest voice, in edge, or in reduced density, overdrive, or edge. I will get to that later because it's not time to use that right now. So she's either using edge or reduced density overdrive in the chest voice, and then anytime the sentence goes on, she lowers the volume. And then by lowering the volume, did you hear what just happened? Like, I lowered the volume. I say A in edge on an A vowel. Yeah, you could try. A, like you see my mouth opening a bit, but the back is still really squeezed as if I'm talking with a lot of twang, okay? So say, hey, you do it? Hey, very good. So now we lower the volume, and at a specific point in lowering the volume, there arises a creak like this. So the creak arises anytime you lower the volume, starting in the chest voice, and then going down in volume until the creaking arises. Do you hear that? If I lower the volume even more, the creak is gone again. So now I start in the head voice and I crank up the volume until the creak arises again. And then, hey, and there we go. And there we are in the chest voice again. So anytime you go from chest voice to head voice and back, in between these techniques, the vocal cords here at the Adam's apple, they vibrate and they change vibrational pattern when they're either in the chest voice or in the head voice. So they have to break, so to speak. There is a breaking point there. So at this point, the vocal cords do not vibrate like this anymore, but they start to creak, to do this. So I start at the chest voice. Hey, lowering the volume even more until the vibrational pattern becomes normal again. Really fun stuff, right? So this transition from chest voice to head voice is one that Adele uses like all the time. You also hear her use creaks and also vocal breaks all the time. The way I just explained that creak arises whenever you lower the volume from the chest voice to the head voice and back. Vocal breaks also arise at the same placement and with the changing of the vibrational pattern of the vocal cords. So creaking and the vocal break arise at the same placement in the voice, all right? This is really interesting. So when you know Adele's basic singing technique goes from the chest voice into the head voice, into the chest voice, into the head voice again, then very naturally creaks and vocal breaks can occur. So because she's moving on this technical pathway, she has instant access to these vocal breaks and creaks. So very often Adele starts a sentence with like a huh, huh, huh. This is a vocal break. It's like a small cry, so to speak. Huh, like, huh, huh, I'm very sad. It gives her singing a lot of emotion. You hear that? I let it fall, my heart, and as it fell. You could actually use that one on any start or onset of any word. She's not doing it all the time, but often she is starting her sentences with this vocal break. Let's listen to the vocal breaks now, okay?
I let it fall,
I let it fall,
my heart,
my heart,
and as it
and as it fell.
feels to claim it.
So in the first verse of the song, sometimes she does use these vocal breaks, but not all the time. So now as an exercise, we're going to sing through the song and try to start every word with a vocal break. You can literally get the vocal break by, in this case, by like trying to I'm so sad. Sigh it out and you give up. I give up. Okay. So, you try. Even if I let it, there also comes a creak. You hear that? You try this. So if you manage to find this, you can maybe sense that this vocal break and creak are really close to each other in the voice. If you didn't manage to find the vocal break with the last exercise, well, I'll get my vocal cords right here. And when you sing in the chest voice, so with the volume, so we take the chest voice like she does, like with a lot of twang, small setting, tongue against the back molars. And then we get this sound speaking right in the front, making it really small and loud and piercing, okay? And then we do the A sound again. You do it. A. Yes. And now you let go of your support, but you try to keep on making the same sound. So that would be like this. So then the vocal cords, when I do hey, they touch really well. Hey. That was one. Hey. And now when I do the vocal break, it touches less. Let me show you. Hey, 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 hey. You hear that? So a lot of touching to little touching. A lot of touching to little touching. Chest voice, head voice. Hey, hey. So you can get that by letting go of the support here, like letting go of that, but then still try to remain the same loudness of voice and sound, okay? Okay, very good. So that's one way to find vocal breaks. In Adele's case, she actually turns this around. There is like little support, and then she supports more and breaks into the chest voice. I let it fall, I let it fall, my heart, and as it fell, you rose to claim it, claim it, claim it. So this one thins out again. Goes from the chest voice into the head voice again. So to my ear, this is really spectacular. Like, this means that Adele starts her sentence in head voice, breaks into the chest voice, and then lowers the volume again, and then breaks a couple times more along the way. This is formidable, if you ask me. And I have to warn you, there is a lot going on, like in one sentence. It's insane. She starts with the vocal break, breaks into the chest voice, lowers the volume again, puts on a little air, breaks into the chest voice again, lowers the volume again, putting air on it, and also putting some vibrato at the end of almost every sentence. It's beautiful. So when I would give you an example of this, just with the sound and the technique, but without the lyrics, it would sound something like this. So that would be on this lyrics: I let it fall, my heart, and as it fell, you rose to claim it. So let me try. So I'm first breaking from the head voice into the chest voice, then lowering the volume, putting air on it, and some vibrato. And then I'll do it again. Okay, breaking again from the head voice into the chest voice, lowering the volume, putting air and vibrato on that. I'm taking my setting here in edge, but then I start with a lower volume so that I start in the head voice because of that lower volume. So I can break hey into the chest voice. Hey, hey, hey. That was really difficult. So now with the lyrics on it, you can sing along with me if you can and if you dare. So I let it fall, my heart. Let's get the vocal break starting. And I let it fall, my heart, and as it fell, you rose to claim it. Let's do that again. Breaking from the head voice into the chest voice. I let it fall, my heart, and as it fell, you rose to claim it. Okay, it is in the head voice again. So you can always rewind and go back and try until you get the hang of it. Her volume is not at its maximum right now because it's the start of the song, but her volume will get louder and louder as we go. And then in the chorus, it's pretty loud. And in the bridge, a while after that, it's even louder, okay? And then in the outro, where she does the long note, in the outro, it's even louder. But then we're going into what they call reduced density overdrive or edge, depending on where you place the vowel. But this is a different chest voice where you do actually make more space in the back of the mouth. But we'll get to that later. So let's try now to sing through the song And then I'll stop when we have to, because I have to explain something new, okay? So take your close setting in edge, really in the front, small setting, okay? There we go. I let it fall, my heart, and as it fell, you rose to claim it. It was dark, and I was over, until you kissed my lips and you saved me. My hands, they're strong, but my knees were far too weak to stand in your arms, but louder, without falling to your feet. Okay, so that's the first time she's starting to use the reduced density overdrive. Did you hear that? There's more space in the back. Fall into your feet. So where we had the small setting before, la 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 la, really close, and then we do falling, falling, opening it up here in the back just so much that you can let your voice fall into like a sound like this. Okay? Quite interesting, isn't it? So now you do yeah? So you went from edge really small and you opened up here a little bit. Falling with the vocal break. Fall can actually help you to get there. Fall into your feet. Compared to where we were coming from before with the lower volume, you suddenly crank up the volume. Then it gives you the opportunity to open up here in the back and let your voice fall into the reduced density overdrive. So if you have a hard time finding this sound, you can think of, do you know, I don't know if you guys know this, but anytime someone does like, oh man, like, oh my god, what just happened here? Like, oh. You can imagine like falling backwards, like, oh, it's like different from A that's projected really into the front. Like, but I set fire to the rain. It's really in the front, for example. But when you let that fall backwards, it's like, oh, like you get more space here. And it's like you're falling backwards. You try. Oh. Go from hey to the front. Hey. Oh. You try. Hey. Oh. All right. Again, you can always rewind the video if you need to. So let us pick it up again at the second half of the first verse. My hands were strong. We're strong. That one. Then we crank up the volume even more until we get to the pre-chorus, cranking up more volume to the chorus. Let's see what happens. Okay. My hands, they're strong, but my knees were far too weak. Small again. To stand in your arms without falling to your feet. That voice. But there's a side to you that I never knew. All the things you'd say, they were never true. In the games you'd play, you would always win. Volume. But I set fire to the rain. So the always win. Like, beware of the vowels she uses here. Like in some countries, like for example in my country, in the Netherlands, we would sing always win. But it's not a it's not a win. That would get you more to the head voice. Instead of that, she sings way, like with a double E, like double E. Always win. And the games you'd play, you would always win. This is how she can keep this loud setting in edge. Win is because of the vowel. This is connected to the technique she's singing in edge in this time. So in edge, you have like E, vowels. So pro tip, anytime you have troubles staying in the placement of edge and of the edge sound, so along with the small setting, with the twang, the lifted larynx, you watch that you shape your words into the right vowels. So it's like, and the, and the games you'd play, You would always win, always win. So you can form any of these words into edge vowels to get a more piercing sound, keeping you in the edge setting, okay? So if you want, you can now rewind back and sing this part of the song again until you get the hang of it. Good luck. Okay, so now we move on to the chorus of the song. So the volume becomes even louder and the edge setting becomes even more specific. So let's listen to that part. Small setting. Face. Cool vocal break there. So, but I set fire to the rain. So now we're going to speak through this part again because we need to be really specific. Let's walk through that. Small setting. But I set fire to the rain. Watch it pour as I touch your face. Well, it burned, well, I cried, cause I heard it screaming out your name. Your name. So did you hear that? That's really specific. So at this point, I will not be speaking about the creaks and the vocal breaks because you can try that out on the first part of the song. Now we are going to focus on the different techniques. So it's easier to divide the techniques a little bit for you so that we don't have to think about all of these techniques at the same time. So for now we stick to the pronunciation and the edge setting. Try this out, rewind the video if you need to, and then you can move on later. All right. So now we're going to add the melody on top of that. Win, but I set fire to the rain. Watch it pour as I touch your face. Well, it burned while I cried, cause I heard it screaming out your name. Your name. Really cool way to break into the head voice at the end there. Really cool. You try it out. Name, name. All right. So one little detail I did not talk about yet is that on the word watched, she's using a rather cool effect. She's actually using two effects on top of each other. First, that's called rattle. Ha! But rather a dark version of it. Ah! You find rattle has kind of a rolling sound at the back here. So you can either try to act like you're a crow, ha, 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 but then a very big one with a darker sound color, ha, 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 ha. You can really feel it at the back of the throat here, but it's just a rolling sensation. It should not hurt the voice at all. Like, ha, ha, ha. Try to sigh it out. Belly in, solar plexus out, like this. There's the intention of putting air on it, like sighing it out. Ha! Like ha! Ha! You try. Ha! And then trying to put on the crow. Ha! Ha! Okay. Rewind if you need to. And then she also puts on distortion. You could actually go in two directions depending on how easy or difficult you find it to find a certain effect. So you can either try going through distortion. So first you have the rattle, the ha, ha, and then you put distortion on top of it. Distortion is a bit like throwing up. So since we're already, sounds good, right? Since we're already in the movement of this, like you can also extend that into and then if you combine these, you have ha, 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 ha. Then you have ha, the rattle, and the ha on top of it. Ha, ha. Watch it pour as I touch your face. Really cool, right? Again, this should never hurt the voice. A second route you can walk through is going through the grunt. It's like you're acting like you're a really big dog barking. Look at my arms. Throw it out. Watch it. Watch it. Putting the grunt on top of the rattle. Ha! 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 Watch Watch it pour, watch it pour as I. If you manage to find this difficult placement in the voice without hurting yourself, take care, stop if it hurts. Stop immediately and ask for more guidance. Then in my example, I end up with rattle and grunt and a bit of distortion on top of each other, depending on how loud you put it on. Like, watch it pour is like everything, but watch it pour is like rattle with just a little distortion on it. Okay? So depending on how much effort you put into it, you can either end up doing all kinds of combinations on top of each other. Again, it should never hurt the voice, okay? It should never tickle. It should never make you hoarse or anything like that. Make sure you use a lot of twang on effects. I'd like to see twang as a safety belt of the voice, actually. So I know I should use it all the time whenever I'm experimenting with new techniques and crazy effects and stuff like that, just to make sure I'm safely seated in my chair, right? And I don't hurt the voice. So now we've been talking about a lot of techniques and effects. Just see what works, right? If things become really difficult for you, think of singing as layers, putting layers on and off the voice, and just make sure you have the singing technique, the bass, like are you either singing in the head voice or the chest voice? Make sure you can sing that first without hurting the voice, without becoming hoarse. If you have any problems finding the basics of this, seek out some vocal lessons, either live or online, to make sure you have the basics down of the techniques you can sing in, like the head voice and the chest voice, and only then you can go on to the next level, right, and put something on top of it, or start thinking about creaking, vibrato, and vocal breaks, and stuff like that, okay? Take care of the voice. This is called vocal hygiene, actually, making sure you don't hurt yourself. Okay, you're the only one who can feel whether something is right for you or whether it makes you cough or hoarse or tickle the voice. Just these are signs that you should find some guidance to get some better singing techniques, okay? So now let's sing the chorus again and try to put on the watched. Watch it pour as I... Okay, cool.
You would always win, always win.
But I set fire to the rain. Watch it pour as I touch your face. Well, it burned while I cried, 'cause I heard it screaming out your name, your name. So on the touch your face, she goes dead. She goes to reduced density edge because of the touch that she sings as tatched, like again like this E vowel. She sings tatched, your face, and then she breaks into the head voice again. Let's try that again. Watch it pour as I touch your face. Hey! Yeah. So now let's go on to the next part. When I lay with you, I could stay there, close my eyes, feel you here forever. You and me together, nothing gets better. 'Cause there's a side to you that I never knew. All the things you'd say, they were never true. And the games you'd play, you would always win. But I set fire to the rain. Watch it pour as I touch your face. Well, I burned, well, I cried, 'cause I heard it screaming out your name, your name. I set fire to the rain, and I threw us into the flames. Well, it failed, something died, 'cause I knew that was the last sign, bridge. Sometimes I wake up by the door. That heart you caught must be waiting for you. Even now when we're already over, I can't help myself from looking for you. I set fire to the rain. Watch it pour as I touch your face. Well, it burned, well, I cried, 'cause I heard it your name. I set fire to the rain and now threw us into the flames. When it failed, something died, 'cause I knew that that was the last time. The last time. Reduce density. Oh no. Let it burn. Oh, let it burn. Let it burn. All right. So you saw me giving some directions, right? Literally directions. Going to the front means like making it more edgy, letting it fall back when you need this sound. Hey! Okay? So I wish you a lot of luck practicing this song. It is not easy. Maybe if you get the hang of the techniques, you can start using more of the creaks, the vocal breaks. Take your time with it. Anytime you want to perfect any of these techniques, practice them on single words or without the melody first, or just separate them, right? Practice your edge, practice your reduced density overdrive, reduced density edge, or the vocal breaks, or the creaks. Turning the volume down even more into the head voice. Okay, so the transitioning also in between the chest voice and the head voice. These are a lot of things, guys. So take care of your voice. If you have questions, let me know. And if you have any request songs, also I'd love to hear that. And I hope seeing you again next time, guys. This was Sing It with Jane. Happy singing. Ciao, ciao.